Simsy Claire here and welcome back. So today we are doing another Sims 4 speed build, and I'm really excited about this one because I ticked off quite a few boxes with this build. So this is a micro home, so it is the lowest amount of tiles that you can do. It is a starter home. It is under $20,000. I think it comes out to around $19,600, and it has a lot of outdoor activities for gardening sims, so it's not like a basic starter home where there's not a lot of clutter, there's not a lot going on. You had to have the bare essentials of everything. It's pretty stocked full of quite a few different things. So here we are getting into it. We did a little bit of terrain paint before the beginning of this because, as I said, this is for a gardener, and I wanted it to kind of be like a very natural looking lot. We go and do a lot of landscaping around the area, and I wanted it to just be very overgrown, very nature filled, very beautiful. And then we have this little raised area here where we built the house, and it is going to have this sunroof here in the center of the roof. And then I'm also going to do the solar panels because this does end up being a off-the-grid lot. So that's another box like ticked in the whole this lot is very versatile thing that I have going on here. And right now we're just doing the front of the house. Now this house gave me a lot of issues. There was a couple of different things that I tried and I cut out of this video because initially I was going to do an A-frame, and then it really wasn't working with all the terrain paint, but I wanted to leave the terrain in. And then I had a couple of other ideas that just weren't really sitting right. And when I finally came across this one, like I started building this one, I thought that it looked the best out of all the ones that I had tried, and I thought it was a different shape than the other tiny house that I have on my channel, so I was really happy that I came across this one. And as you could see, I pulled out some debug decoration. I think that they're technically called wood plank decorations, but they are just these like generically colored wood planks, and this is not the only build you're going to see me use them on. I have one coming out probably next week that is quite large. It's going to be a 2-part video, and I use them for some different detail work on the outside of the house in that video. And then here for this house, I was going to try and build a roof over this little area, but obviously I couldn't add a ceiling where it would add tiles to the build, so I just covered it with plants. And considering it's a gardening sim, I figured that that was okay, and it also looks really cute towards the end with the rest of the landscaping that I did. And then I didn't want to have to add a stairs because it would take away the entire space of that little patio that I gave her out front. And I don't do a whole lot on that patio. I just get most of the dog stuff out there since a lot of it doesn't fit on the interior. But I still wanted to be able to keep it usable. So I do end up lowering the house even once more towards the end because I didn't know if the sim would be able to get to the door. I know that if it's only like one foundation level, it'll work. But considering the terrain was raised and everything, I didn't know exactly how many levels of foundation this was. So I decided to lower it again. And then here I'm messing with the outside. I add an outdoor laundry bucket and hanging rack. And I've had some glitches with this in a couple of my saves, but I don't know if it's how I'm using it or if it's the bucket itself. So I really want to keep trying. I've had a lot of issues with it, with me going to go like wash the clothes and them always turning out dirty. So I'm intrigued to see if maybe you guys have that issue. If you do, let me know down below, and if you don't, let me know if I'm doing something wrong. And then here, this is one of the fun activities I said that I got in the backyard. So this is a pool. I do end up kind of building it into the terrain though. You can see me starting to do it here, so that way it looks more like a natural pond, because there is a fishing pond in the lot behind us. We are in Hindquarter Hideaway in Brindleton Bay, where she can fish and she can get like her food from, but I wanted her to be able to swim because she is a loves outdoor sim. And you can't swim in the ponds in the game, so I wanted to give her like this little, it's a very small, she won't be able to do much swimming, but she'll be able to get some fun out of it, I think. And you can see there, I skipped over it because it was a lot of landscaping, but basically I just changed the color of the pool and added a couple more debug plants around. And here I'm adding some crates from the debug menu. I thought that maybe they could be fishing crates that she would use in the pond behind her house. And then over here I'm doing a couple more debug plants. All of the debug plants I use are under the cats and dogs category. I did that because they're the ones that match the area around us the most. But I was having a huge issue with all of the plants because of the terrain paint. This is why I don't use terrain paint a lot. But because of the different like terrain levels, some of the plants were floating and they weren't really sitting on the ground, and I didn't know how to fix it. So a lot of the times you'll see me like start to place a plant and then delete it immediately because I can't get it to sit on the ground. It's just like floating in the air. So there's quite a bit of landscaping on this lot, but it's only in places you can tell that I chose because the plants wouldn't be floating mid-air. And then this is one of those instances I mess around with it quite a little bit. You can see me trying to get it, but it kept raising the tree, which is not what I wanted it to do. I wanted the tree to sink in more to the ground, and I didn't know why it kept raising the tree with it, because it didn't do that with any of the other plants. So I didn't know if it was because they were debug plants and the tree wasn't debug or what was going on. But I end up just covering it with some of those low-lying but overhanging plants to make it look a bit more natural, even though it's kind of hanging off the side. And then I go around and place a couple of random patches of overgrown grass and some overgrown flowers and stuff from the outside like world from Brindleton Bay. And all of these are from the debug menu. That's how this lot was able to stay below 19,000 or 20,000 with all of the landscaping that I did. It's because all the debug plants cost no money. So usually if I'm trying to do starter homes, I stick with the debug plants. And I was also able to get some clutter into the build, which you usually can't do when you do starter homes because the clutter in the game costs a lot of money. But because it was such a small house, I was able to get a couple of things in there, so it's not a completely barren lot. And then here's where I give them their little garden area. So they get 6 planter boxes. And then towards the end, you'll also see me add a couple of the bees and the Mighty Mites that we got from Eco Lifestyle. And I add another little like overgrown plant area back here just so it wasn't completely barren and it matched the other sides of the house a little bit more. And I also love these trees from this pack as well. Those are my favorite plants we have in game, so I wanted to add as many of those trees as I possibly could. And then here I'm going around the outside of the house and adding some farming and gardening decorations. So I give them a hose and those little planting tools, and then I also hung up some buoys from cats and dogs because, as I said, there's a pond out back and they're also by the ocean, so I figured she might fish or even crab a little bit. And this is where I lower the house again because I really was not sure if the sim could get up on that ledge, so I decided just to lower it. And as I said, I add all of the dog stuff out here except for the dog bed that does make it inside of the house. And then a little outdoor light. And then I believe we head on to the inside now. Yeah, so simple wooden floors and wooden walls as well, except for the bathroom that is tile and stone. And then I move these windows around because I tried to build like the bathroom over in that corner, and it stays in that corner, but I do shorten it by 1 tile. And that leads me to something I wanted to mention in this build. So I initially put a shower in this bathroom. You'll see me put it in the build, but then in the screenshots you'll see a bathtub. That is because I forgot that the dogs need baths in bathtubs, and I made their dog an adventurous dog, so it'll go out and they'll go on adventures, and usually when that happens the dogs come back dirty, so I needed to make sure they had a bathtub. So I do just delete the shower that I put in here and replace it with the bathtub from Eco Lifestyle. And then I also, as I said, make this lot off the grid, and I forgot to put a dew collector on it, so the sim wouldn't have had any water, so I also add one of those in the screenshot, so you might see it in a couple of those even though you don't see me place it here in the video. And then here I am building the kitchen. It's a very small kitchen. I didn't use the old-time looking stoves or refrigerators, even though those say they're functional off the grid. With the new objects that we have, like the solar panels and the wind turbines and everything, as long as the power consumption rating is low, and you can even use the handiness skill to fix some of them up as well to make it even lower, but as long as the power consumption rating is low, whether it labels them as working off the grid or not, they will function as long as your house is producing energy. So I thought that that was kind of cool, and it also meant I didn't have to spend all of the extra money just to get those functioning stoves and appliances. And then, as I said, I do get some clutter items, so I clutter up this shelf above the stove a little bit. A lot of it is from Eco Lifestyle. You saw I pulled out those paintings, and I have some of those jars, and then I also get one of the feathers from this pack. Once you pull the feathers out from the debug menu, they create these like little plaques of like what the bird is and like a little description of them. It's right here, and I thought that that was really cute, and I don't really collect the feathers in the game, like that's never been something I've done, so I thought it was kind of cool to have that sitting up above the stove, especially because it's one of the rarer birds. It's the Sixum owl, so which is a really pretty bird. There's a plushie version of it somewhere in the game. And then I left that corner counter empty. I didn't put any clutter on it because the sim needed somewhere to cook, and they can cook on the corner counters as if there's no other counter available, so I wanted to make sure that that one was free. And then here I am doing the sectioned off bedroom area. I use the tiny living bed and the tiny living dresser and mirror. And then I add the dog bed in there, and I was about to go in and add some more paintings on the walls, but I realized I was running low on money, so I went into the bathroom first to make sure I could get everything into the bathroom that I wanted. And initially here you see I pulled out another sink, but I couldn't get it to fit, and especially now that I put a bathtub in there, it definitely wouldn't have fit. But I think that's okay, because since they're a green fiend and they're like an eco-friendly sim, they would definitely want to use as little water as possible, so one sink kind of fits their personality a little bit, so they just have to use the sink in the kitchen, which isn't that big of a deal anyway, because it's so close to the bathroom. And then here I was trying to figure out if I wanted to add a seating area because I had a little bit of empty space. So I do just grab out one of the wicker chairs from Laundry Day and then the stool from Jungle Adventure and a little crate object. I tried to make this build look really rustic because A, it is going to be this Sim's first home. It's a starter home, so they wouldn't have that much furniture themselves, but they're also a handy Sim. I pictured her like being able to build her own furniture and everything. So I wanted to make it look like she was like repurposing things or building things herself. That's why everything's made out of wood and more like carved items as well. And then here I'm just cluttering this table a little bit. I do end up deleting some of this so I can get the water collector into the build, but I don't have to delete that much. And then I clutter up this table here with all of the gardening clutter that we have in The Sims. So you see that it's like the bug sprayer and the watering can, and then I add some of the tools. It's like gloves and like a little shovel right next to it. And then I also give them some books on this table, so that way they have a little reading somewhere where they can read from. So it's another fun building activity, and then they can also like sit down with their dog, have a cup of tea or something, and read a book. And then I had some extra money, so I added some plants because they are a gardening sim, and it was looking a little bare over there. So I did go ahead and add some plants, and then I also add a couple of more paintings around the house. Now, some of these do end up deleted to pay for the water collector, but I do get to keep most of them. So I was really happy about that. And then I added that little broom and dustpan from Laundry Day as well. And then here we are back on the outside, and we are almost done. I'm just trying to find some other things to add for them to be able to use. So this is where I add the Mighty Might Homes and the bees. And I do end up taking away one of the Mighty Mite homes. I only give them one, and then I switch these around a little bit just to make the space look a little cuter. And then here I add a flower arranging table because I figured as a gardener she would also make some money off of arranging the flowers and building up that skill as well. And then I go in and change the lot type, or not the lot type, but the lot traits. And then that is it for this build, so I hope you all enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun building this tiny little gardener's home, and I hope you all stick around for the next one, and I'll see you all again then. Bye!